We are live. Welcome to college football's peek around the corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you need just a little bit of extra college football content to get you through the days, to get you through the nights, subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Share it with your psychiatrist. Share it with your priest. Share it with your significant other. Share the video across your social media platforms. Welcome on in. Welcome on in to the house, to the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a PATC legend with your comments or with your phone calls. Thank you for all you coming in. I appreciate it. Let's get to the people who have come in, the PATC community. Early here today, we've got ourselves Derek Marie, Skull Ducky. Morning, Greg. Good morning to you. KS Bear FN, we are live. Do not be afraid. Obsidian's in. Kirk Bender's in. A lovely day for more cloak and dagger. Absolutely. Randy Taylor, howdy, howdy. Curtis Brown, good morning. Greg the Furnace. Now you're talking. Now you're talking. Now you're talking. I'm going to get some games right this year against the spread. K-Do, good morning. Crazy weekend. KWKSU, Wahoo. Juan Carlos is in the house. Nice to see you, Juan Carlos. Sean Eaton, Big Ten Ducks. Matt Nilsson, hello. T-Ducks, Ducks won out. They changed their mind. I don't think so. John Coy, blessings. Good day, everyone. Krista Shannon. Look. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's an unidentified Flugarian object. It's Greg Pfluger. Thank you, Christopher, for coming on in. Appreciate it. Grateful Trojan. Good morning. PATC. Perfect timing for my drive into Malibu, Greg. I'm glad to be of service, Grateful Trojan. Nice to have you in the house. Jared Jones, Mr. Buckeye Lee. Good morning, Greg. At Egg Mac, Bill G's in the house. Stephen McNeely in the hizzy. Ethan Austin. The Cougs and the Beavs deserve a break. Great fans. Arizona State President Kaz Pac-12 demise by supporting Larry Scott and influencing schools to not to fire him sooner. Ethan Austin putting out a lot of truth here early in the chat. Cameron B. Rock Chalk. We are live. WV Jim, WV West Virginia, BR 7062, Big 12 alive and well. Immaculate's in the house. Good morning, everybody. We may be on the brink of having an amazing week, a drama-filled week. We shall see this week or early next week. I think so. Jeff Olson, the evil Badgers in the house. You are looking live. You are looking live. Matthew Farmer's in the house. John Coy. Report Oregon State, San Diego State in beginning talks with Big 12 Jason Scheer. Jason Scheer puts out a tweet saying that San Diego State and Oregon State have begun preliminary talks. And then Max Olson from The Athletic puts out a tweet. There are no discussions going on at this time in regards of Big 12 adding Oregon State and San Diego State. I believe both tweets are not direct contradictory statements. Both can be true. Both are probably true. Preliminary talks does not mean that the Big 12 are having discussions right now of adding those two universities. They've begun to talk again with San Diego State. They've begun talks with Oregon State. This does not happen overnight. So I see nothing wrong with Jason Scheer's tweet. You better believe he's accurate. He's been accurate about everything. Max Olson's tweet can be accurate. Both probably are accurate. So a lot of people are taking sides. There are no sides in that, according to my opinion. You can call me later, disagree, put in the comments, disagree. Cameron B, preseason coaches poll is out. I saw that. Thank you for your super chat, Cameron B. I appreciate your continued generosity to this channel. We're going to be going over that. Coaches poll. No surprises. I saw Texas A&M was 25. I wouldn't have Texas A&M at 25. They shouldn't be in the top 25. What can I remember? It just came out. I just take a quick glance. Notre Dame was about 12 or 13. They should be higher. Washington, I believe, was like 12 or 13. They should be a little higher. USC was number 6. I'm sorry, Grateful Trojan, who is listening to me as he drives to Malibu. USC should be a little lower. Not number 6. Come on. 9, 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there. I see they got Oregon State. Oregon State, the coaches poll, got the Beavers in the top 25, and they should. I think they're in the top 20. But we'll take a look at that. Rebecca Salisbury, top 25 is out. Mrs. Husky is out. And that reminds me. Bow down to Washington. Bow down to Washington. That fight song was now going to be a part of the Big Ten family starting in 2024. The most unique fight song out there that I have sung so far. Maybe there's something else out there, but that is a little bit more unique. But my goodness, Bow Down to Washington, starting with the minor chord. It is different. I sang it. I already sang it once because of Rebecca Salisbury's generosity to this channel. I've already done damage to all your ears when I sang that song. But that song is coming to the Big Ten. It's coming to the Big Ten. Blaze Bunny, thanks for coming on in. Anthony Eason, Black Rain. I don't trust the Athletic. Mr. Sparty. I don't trust the Athletic. They do a good job. I like them. I think maybe they're a little bit too eager to trust maybe some sources out on the West Coast. But again, the Athletic, there's a wide range, diversity, writers, and overall they do a good job. Black Rain, I appreciate you coming on in. Laura Weiss is in the house. Laura Weiss is in the house. Texas Tech Red Raider is in the house. AAR, Greg, who's paying for the freight? San Diego State Aztecs and my Beavers. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. John Corey, thanks for coming on in. Okay, we got to get to stuff here. First of all, you know how it is. Cloak and dagger. Drink responsibly. Drink your Diet Coke, your coffee, your tea responsibly during the show. A lot of cloak and dagger going on. A lot of people are talking about the cloak and dagger. A lot of people are using our PATC lingo in their articles when they're talking about the cloak and dagger. Florida State, they're doing a lot of cloaking right now, and they're about to deliver the dagger. I don't know how they're going to deliver the dagger. I don't know the timing of the dagger. I don't know the size of the makeup of the dagger. But the cloaking, they're not even cloaking anymore. They were for a year, but now they're saying, look at us. We're not hiding. We're going to do something. Holy smokes. We're going to get to what the Arizona State president said. And I don't know what to make of it. I'm not going to get into I'm not going to get into the athletic director, Ray Anderson's ridiculous comments on Morgantown. A lot of other people have done it. They did a lot better job than I could have ever done it. Coos Corner just blasted those ridiculous comments made in public. But there was something else said in that interview with the athletic director and with the president of Arizona State. I want to get to that. I want to congratulate Justin Walker, Coos Corner, the great college football YouTube channel, who spotted this, who put it out for everybody. He put out an episode on it. Go watch it, Coos Corner. He talked about it on Twitter. I did as well. I have no idea what the Arizona State president, Michael Crow, meant when he said what he said. We're going to go to the video. We're going to watch it together. We're going to watch it a couple times. And I want your comments and thoughts. What do you think is going on? What did he mean by that when it comes to Florida State funding their own private college football network? What does he mean by the word network? And we'll get into it. And, we talked about this. Now, this is like 2 weeks ago. We had Peek Around the Corner. 2 weeks ago, we said there is serious smoke to this Florida State thing. Serious people are looking at it. They are on the hunt. This is not just some fantasy. Message board this is real. The smoke is real. And then our last live show, we said the smoke, it's a fire, and the fire is real. Florida State. This is crazy. I know it is. I know. Greg Flugar, you've lost it. We talked about it last live show. We said your cheese has finally slipped off your cracker. But we believe what we've been told, and we believe because we've been told by serious people. Not fat guys from Minnesota like me who just skip behind a mic and don't know what they're talking about. Serious people believe that Florida State is out coming next year or the year after. They're going to be in a different conference in 2024 or 2025. But they're out. As crazy as it sounds, we, the true believers of the Granorites, but we've been told that the smoke is real, now the fire is real. And when you have Arizona president talking about this in public, Other people are talking about it. They're all talking about it. None of us know exactly the angle that Florida State's going to take, although people are on the hunt. But everybody's talking about it. Everybody's taking it serious. Even the ACC schools are taking it serious. The other ACC schools are talking indirectly to the Big Ten, to the SEC, and to the Big 12 because of all of this. We're going to get to that first of all. And then, we're going to get to the Mountain West. We're going to get to the Pac-12. Wyoming's athletic director just spoke. I just read it. Talking about how I'm paraphrasing, has confidence, or was it the Wyoming president? I apologize. Either Wyoming's president or athletic director said they have confidence in the Mountain West commissioner. But they made a distinct difference between Oregon State, Washington State versus California and Stanford, saying that those Oregon State and Washington State would fit. The other two, not so much. Of course, I'm paraphrasing. It just came out. I wasn't able to capture the image and put it into our monologue. Things are breaking continuously here at Peek Around the Corner. California Board of Regents has a meeting lined up for tomorrow. I think it's 7 o'clock. I don't know. We'll look at it. I have it locked in here. Talking about Pac-12 conference membership. That is in their agenda. California, Berkeley. We'll get to that. First of all, we've got so much to go through. Unbelievable amount that we've got to get through here. Let's first talk about football. Football, the Georgia Bulldogs, Caesars. Here's a look at an updated national championship odds ahead of the 2023 season. According to Caesars Sportsbook, man, we are almost there. We are almost there to college football. 2023. Georgia Bulldogs, two-time defending, reigning, undisputed national champions. Their odds were plus 280. They have gone down again. They're at plus 230. More money on Georgia. Georgia's schedule, the most favorable in Kirby Smart's tenure. Holy cow. Georgia seeks new motivation to define the next legacy in 2023. With the roster that looks very different, at least at quarterback. Carson Beck, he's going to be the guy. But they have a new offensive coordinator, Mike Bobo, who was the former coach of Colorado State, who has been offensive coordinator at a very high level. Smart warned of his program relaxing, but now it sounds like the Georgia Bulldogs are back focused as they head into practice here. This article is from 247 Sports. The odds come from Caesars Sportsbook. Number 2 on the list, Alabama Crimson Tide. They're plus 650. There were plus 700. So, looks like Alabama might be gaining some steam among the bettors. Odds makers remain believers in the Crimson Tide as a national championship hopeful. In fact, Alabama is starting to receive more love than it's gotten through the offseason, it seems, in recent weeks. PATC, we are not a believer. We think Alabama's going to miss the playoffs once again. We don't think they're going to get into the SEC championship game once again. They're mighty talented, but so are some top other teams in the SEC, Georgia and LSU primarily. We think LSU is going to nip them again. The quarterback issue, Buckner, Milroe, Simpson, and of course the new offensive coordinator that we're not fans of, Tommy Rees. We've got Alabama slipping. We got Alabama slipping. We shall see. Number 3 on the list, the Buckeyes. Ohio State Buckeyes. They're plus 750. There was plus 700. So they've lost a little bit of steam here recently with the bettors. The Buckeyes' odds have fluctuated throughout the year. They've lost back-to-back games in Michigan for the first time since 1999 and 2000. How will the program respond to its narrow loss to Georgia in the playoff with Kyle McCord expected to take over as quarterback? Wow. Ryan Day, he enters his 5th season as head coach. He's 1-3 in the playoff games with the Buckeyes. And the program's reign atop the Big Ten has slipped thanks to Harbaugh. This is a big year for Ryan Day. Marvin Harrison Jr., top 3, top 4 candidates to win the Heisman. That's what we believe coming into this season. The Michigan Wolverines. No change. Plus 800. There was 800. The 2-time defending, reigning, undisputed Big Ten champions lost in the semifinals to TCU. They lost that game in the locker room. A terrible, terrible game planning to go against TCU's quarterback. Unbelievable. Blitzing at every play. We don't have Michigan in the college football playoffs. We don't have Michigan winning the Big Ten championship. But the odds makers, they like them. They like them. They're just behind the Buckeyes, the Crimson Tide, the Georgia Bulldogs. We don't have them there. We think they're going to slip. LSU Tigers. Plus 1,000. There was plus 1,200. A little bit more steam, a little bit more money is being played on the LSU Tigers late here in the off season. We love them. We love them. The closer we get to the regular season, hype continues to build around the Tigers after last fall's 10-win season under Brian Kelly. He's got the most complete quarterback room in the country with Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier. Jaden Daniels is ready, baby. He's got the wide receiver. They've got Harold Perkins. We've talked about him at Peek Around the Corner. The top 2-3 most feared pass rusher in the nation. And here's the thing, man. Buckle up. Brace for impact. Brace for impact. Christopher Shannon, massively overrated team in the LSU. Some people are going after them. Derek Marie says Michigan will be 15-0. Look, Florida State, LSU, starting the season off. What a game. What a game. I think at Peek Around the Corner, we're going to try to do a watch party during that game. I think it's Sunday, right? It's that Sunday in the first weekend of the season. Monster of a game. USC Trojans plus 1,000 was plus 1,600. Somebody out there just put a big old stack of cash on the USC Trojans. The odds have dropped. USC odds were 800. Then they bellied up to 1,600. Now they're down to plus 1,000. Lots of fluctuation going on with the Trojans. They're back near the top 5 status in terms of playoff threats. Lincoln Riley's team remains the preseason Pac-12 favorite, with Heisman winner Caleb Williams returning to the lead. But questions linger defensively. Look, I'm not saying USC is going to be right there, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to be battling Washington. They're going to be battling Oregon. They're going to be battling the 2-time defending, reigning, undisputed Pac-12 champions, the Utah Utes. But USC should not be the favorite. They should not be the favorite to win the Pac-12 this year. In their last year in being in the conference. The last year of the Pac-12 existing, most likely. Clemson Tiger, plus 1,600. There was plus 1,200. This I agree with. I think people are seeing the light. Clemson starting to slip just a bit. But I do like the move that Dabo Sweeney made Now, I don't like what Alabama did at the offensive coordinator position. I know Nick Saban has been proven right, bringing in these guys for 1 or 2 year tenures as the offensive coordinator, for most of them. But I don't believe in Tommy Rees. I do believe in Garrett Riley. And boy, Clemson needed this. Clemson needed this change. They were too obvious on offense. People had them figured out. That playbook was too thin. It was too predictable. People knew what they were going to run or what limited plays they could run in certain packages because the trends were so cemented under Dabo Swinney's offensive structure. It reminds me of Texas A&M with Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher has to give that up to Bobby Petrino. Texas A&M's offense is too, people understand what they're going to do pre-snap. And there's no, well, we'll get to Texas A&M later in the show. Garrett Riley, this was a brilliant move by Dabo Swinney. But again, I think they're going to slip just a little bit this year and not make the college football playoffs. Oh, excuse me, wrong one. Texas Longhorns, plus 2,000. Was plus 1,600. The Longhorns are losing a little bit of sleep, a little bit of steam, a little bit of love. Now's the time to be a buyer in the Longhorns. If you are confident this team can win the Big 12. I'm confident they can win the Big 12. We've got them winning the Big 12. We just don't have them going to the college football playoffs. They're going to have at least 2 losses during the season. So we don't have them there. But we do think Texas is back for this year. We will reevaluate when they enter into the SEC in their very first year for next year. Penn State, plus 2,200 was plus 2,000. This is where I got my money on. This is where I got the Little Generals money on. Penn State Nittany Lions plus 2,200. Bam! Bam! Penn State's talented offense could make a sizable splash amongst the Big Ten elite this season. But ultimately, this team's overall worth will be based on the success of its defense and play at the line of scrimmage. The Nittany Lions welcome back several starters who are on the fence about departing for the NFL, including that brilliant left tackle. Beating Michigan and Ohio State remains the number one goal for the team that is going to be capable of doing so, and we've got them doing so. And finally, the last one we're going to go through, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Plus 3,000 was 3,000. Notre Dame felt really good about its offseason roster revamp with the addition of Wake Forest quarterback Sam Hartman. You guys know how much PATC loves it, Sam Hartman. But then lost its offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees, and we think that's a plus as well for Notre Dame. Freeman's subsequent hire of Gerard Parker to call the plays in 2023 is a move that needs to work out. The Notre Dame's Fighting Irish offense, in my opinion, has been so clunky to watch. That's the word that always comes to my mind when I'm watching them. It's the word that I use at PATC. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to their offensive attack. Watch the game against Marshall. Watch the game against Stanford. Watch any of those games. Even when they're rolling up some points, there doesn't seem to be any reason, any logic to what they're doing. New offensive coordinator. Hopefully Marcus Freeman, it works out for them. The schedule doesn't let up for 2023, so Notre Dame needs Hartman at its best. And Sam Hartman's brilliant. I think he's going to be fantastic. I think Notre Dame's going to challenge. I think they're going to be a top 10 football team. I don't think they're going to quite make it to the college football playoffs. But if Notre Dame had this team for next year, this type of team, they would make it to the expanded playoffs. But Notre Dame, I think, is going to fall a little bit short. But they're going to be good this year. They're going to be good. Put down your comments. We'll get to your comments, phone calls. When you call in, we're going to talk about it. You can talk about the odds. You can talk about the top 25. We're going to get into... First, let's pop this up. Notice a special meeting. The Regents of the University of California. I think this was released about an hour ago. Tomorrow, 7 in the morning. Agenda is a closed session. Discussion is UC Berkeley Pac-12 Conference membership. I know that's just a short little agenda there, right? But it's interesting. It's talking about Pac-12 conference membership. It's not conference affiliation, right? It's Pac-12 conference membership. It's hard to glean anything from that, but pretty interesting. Now, we at Peek Around the Corner, we gave this intel, I believe, in our last live show, that we were told that California and Stanford are, or it might have been 2 live shows ago, California and Stanford are not anywhere near receiving a Big Ten invite. They haven't started the true process. Don't know if the process is ever going to begin. But California, we believe this meeting here tomorrow has nothing to do with potential Big Ten membership. It's cold. That is cold. It's not happening. Those talks are not happening. This is what we were told, and we reported to you either the last live show or the live show before. So keep that in mind. In regards to the Mountain West and the Pac-12, I'll be interested to read your comments and get your phone calls on this. I cannot see how the Pac-12 survives in name. In name only. I don't see how that would work. I don't see how it works. I think it'd be much easier for the Mountain West schools to bring in Oregon State and Washington State, if Oregon State's available, than to go the other way around. I don't think the networks are going to buy it. I don't think they're going to get their autonomy. 5. I think the Mountain West is going to expand their conference successfully. Now, they might lose San Diego State to the Big 12. Possibly. Brett Yormark, he's gotten the okay to try to expand it to 18 schools if there's the right fit. I do think that Brett Yormark and the Big 12, along with the Big 10, now primarily have their eyes set on the East. And we're going to talk about that in a moment. So I look at Mountain West expand. A merger, I don't even know what that means. How do you merge? I don't think Stanford and California are interested in this. I don't think Stanford's going to be a part of it. California might be. A merger brings on so many other complications. I think the Mountain West, again, I don't have any intel on this. This is I'm just guessing. I think the Mountain West takes over and grabs what's ever remaining left of the Pac-12 once the dominoes fall from the Big 12, and we got ourselves a larger Mountain West conference. Hopefully a bump up for all the schools that are in there. None of them are going to pay $34 million to get out of the conference and all that stuff. They already have a TV contract. They have a TV contract for the next couple of years. Pac-12 doesn't. That's how I think it's going to happen. Okay, let's get to this. Ladies and gentlemen, again, congratulations to Coos Corner. Justin Walker, incredible job at pointing this out to everybody. We're just going to play you the part. This is a 15-minute video. We're just going to play a little bit of it. Ray Anderson starts talking here. And then the president, Arizona State President Michael Crow, talks about how all schools are looking at different possibilities. We're talking about realignment. And then he brings up Florida State. We're going to play this a couple times. If you haven't heard this, I want you to listen to what he says and tell me what you think he meant to say, or did he actually say what he meant to say? Okay? Let's take a listen.
They said no.
But it's a fair question, certainly, over the course of all these months. You have to understand that you got to examine all the options. And so we had at least at some level conversations with you name the conference.
There are lots of people trying to figure this out, but everybody's trying to figure it out from slightly different views. So Florida State apparently is out, thinking, can they build a privately funded college football network? Well, error.
Did you get that? Did you get that? Florida State looking around to see if they can build a privately funded college football network. And then he uses the word error. I don't understand that either. Let's listen to it again. Listen to it again. I'm going to give you my comments of what it could mean. And then we're going to go directly to your comments and to your phone calls. Okay. I'm telling you, this Florida State thing, everybody, I shouldn't say everybody. Excuse me. I should not have said that. A lot of people believe, they have reasons to believe that Florida State's about to do something. They don't know quite how they're going to do it, but they're about to do something. They're about to put in their notice of withdrawal from the ACC, using possibly a private equity firm to build that war chest. Are they going to use a private equity firm to build a conference football network? Or is it build a college football conference where all these schools, who's ever in this conference, are going to have a relationship with a private equity firm? Let's listen to this again. Let's play it back.
But it's a fair question, certainly, over the course of all these months. You have to understand that you got to examine all the options. And so we had at least at some level conversations with you name the conference.
There are lots of people trying to figure this out, but everybody's trying to figure it out from slightly different views. So Florida State apparently is out, thinking, can they build a privately funded college football network? Well, error.
Anything else?
Let me play that again. One more time.
But it's a fair question, certainly, over the course of all these months. You have to understand that you got to examine all the options. And so we had at least at some level conversations with you name the conference.
There are lots of people trying to figure this out, but everybody's trying to figure it out from slightly different views. So Florida State apparently is out, thinking, can they build a privately funded college football network? Well, error.
What do you think Michael Crow meant about that? Did he actually mean to say that Florida State is trying to build a conference football network, and then he used the word error, that's what it'll be called because the Pac-12 screwed up so much by how they tried to create the Pac-12 network? And for me, look, it doesn't even matter what Michael Crow really even said. Although I'm interested to see what you all are speculating on this, or what you know, what you believe to know. I think the important part of this is everybody's talking about Florida State. People that Michael Crow talks to, Big Ten people are talking about it, SEC people are talking about it, ESPN people are talking about it, Brett Yormark is thinking about it. They're all thinking about it. They're all talking about it. The cloak, the dagger, there's not a whole lot of cloak. Although Florida State is trying to the question I have, does Florida State absolutely know the pathway they're going to take? Right now, it's August 7th. Do they know this is our next step? Or are they trying to still figure it out? Like, we think we're going to go here, we think we're going to go there, or do they have it all planned out? If they have it all planned out, then they're doing a pretty good job of cloak. Because a lot of people are trying to figure it out, and nobody has been able to tell me exactly what it is. And I think people are telling me the truth. They don't know exactly how Florida State's going to do this. But they are serious. And if they lower the bomb this week on this, if they go out, if we wake up tomorrow morning, the next day, and Florida State said, we get an announcement that Florida State has announced withdrawal from the ACC conference, man, it's going to blow the roof off college football. And if it's using a private equity firm to build the war chest, if other schools are coming with Florida State, are we having this thing with Florida State's trying to build its own conference with a private equity firm funding all of this? Where Florida State's going to bet on themselves, and any school that follows them is going to bet on themselves, and they're done with ESPN, with the ACC? I don't know. Let's go to your comments. Let's go to your phone calls. I got a bad echo. Do I have a bad echo? Is it worse than usual? Let me know if other people are hearing an echo. Let me know if he was saying air. What is that? Devil Frog, did he mean air as in bad mistake to try to build your own network? Kind of like what we did with the Pac-12 network? Crow Nose Airs. No echo. Okay, just let me know. Sounds good? Okay, thanks, guys. Just let me know if something goes pear-shaped. Rebecca says it's going to take Florida State a while to get out of the gore, mostly because they want to make sure they can legally do it and easily. I don't think whatever Florida State's going to do from their perception, they think they're going to get out of this quickly. I'm not saying they're accurate. I'm just saying from their perception. In Florida State's mind, they're out. They're gone. Be it next year or the year after. And it's probably next year. That's what we're being told. That's how everyone's... This is factoring into Brett Yormark's further decisions. This is factoring into Big Ten's Tony Petitti's further decisions. This is factoring into possibly networks in their future decisions. This is how everyone's taking what Florida State's about to do seriously. Whether they're successful, whether they fall flat on their face, everybody's taking this seriously. Florida State is out. In their hearts, they are out. There's no more coming back to the ACC. That's what we've been told. And we're not saying that lightly. We're not just throwing that out there. I think when Florida State, when the chairman of the board said what he had to say, the president of Florida State had to say what he had to say, when the board of trustees all said in unison what they had to say, they're in lockstep, they're in unison. And when they talk about an exit plan, when they said we need a 12-month exit plan, I think that means 12 months of negotiations for a settlement with the ACC and ESPN. I think that's what they mean by exit plan. I think they've got the exit plan established. They just have to now go through the negotiations because they have a war chest behind them. And one more thing, we'll get to your phone calls. The reason why Florida State wants to do this now, we talked about it now, instead of 3 years from now, 2 years from now, is because whatever they're going to do with the private equity firm, now is the most value they're going to have in their athletic conference, in their athletic department, in their football brand. Now, today. Not 2 years from now, not 3 years from now. Today. Because when the money starts flowing into the SEC, when the gap starts to widen, and when that money becomes more important than ever because of the payments to the players, Florida State believes they're going to get buried. Absolutely buried. They said it in the Board of Trustees meeting. We do not want to die by 1,000 cuts over the next 13 years. They'd rather bet on themselves, invest in themselves, take out a gigantic loan, whatever, to get out from under the ACC right now. It's crazy. Or maybe it's not crazy. I didn't think I would be talking about this on August 7th. I thought I would be talking about this in the first quarter of 2024. That's what the Florida State Money Perch told us December 26, 2022. But we have to talk about it. 2 weeks ago, I came up on a live show with you guys and I said, the smoke is real. I had to do it. And now the last live show, I had to come up on you guys and say, the fire is real. How does Florida State, what are the exact levers they pull? I can't tell you. I wish I could. I wish I could give you that peek. And if I get anything, I'll let you know. I know that some people brought up the possibilities. There was a lawyer out someplace that talked about how there was not a clause in the grant of rights in which Florida State could argue that the state of Florida could say that the state wasn't represented into the making of the grant of rights, therefore the state of Florida could null and void it. I don't understand any of that. I happen to think Florida State might not even challenge the grant of rights anymore. They just want to look for a settlement. Here's a check. Here's a massive check. We also told you in the last live show that Florida State, to us, it was told that they have all of it or almost all of the exit fee money ready to send to the ACC. It was the grant of rights that they would need backup. Maybe they would need a private equity firm. Okay, let's get to your comments. Holy smokes. Got a lot of comments here. No problem, John Freed. Cyrus on my end. No problem. Thank you. Market X, Florida State has a pair of sevens. And they have everyone thinking they have a straight flush. So Market X thinks, we got ourselves a big bluff. Brinkmanship. If it is brinkmanship, we're getting to the edge of that brinkmanship. It's put up or shut up time. Ron Lowney, ESPN needs the ACC and the SEC more than they need the networks. T-Duck says Florida State to the SEC. David M. ACC is like the band leader contract had on a singer in the movie The Godfather. I think Florida State is giving the ACC an offer that the conference can't refuse. In other words, Florida State's going to send up a check to the ACC. Here it is. Oh, that's not enough? How much is enough? Let's settle this. You remember the last Board of Trustees meeting at Florida State? The chairman of the board, Peter Collins, said, "You're going to be hearing us. You're going to be hearing from us real soon." So I think the next step, the next time we hear the Board of Trustees, I think it's going to be a message of action, not just of talk. They talked in the last board. We heard what they said. They were all in unison. They did not hold back. The president of Florida State did not hold back. He's the guy who has to consider everything, politically, internally, externally. Other presidents in the ACC, the networks, the relationships, sponsorships, the alumni, the faculty. He's got to consider it all. And look what he said in that meeting. A president doesn't speak like that unless they're ready to pull the trigger. You can't go all the way like that and say, oh, wait, well, you know what? We'll continue this discussion next year. No one's going to believe what you say next year. But everybody believes, not everybody, most people believe something is about to happen. Daniel Mountcastle, Mr. Hoosier, they have 7 days to leave by 2024. You are correct, sir. You are correct. I think they can do it on August 15th. I was told that they can actually do it. It's on or before August 15th, not before August 15th. Someone, if they have a chance, check the, let me see if I have it. I might still have it. On or before August 15th. Right there. Yeah. And I've got one source that's telling me it's going to happen on August 15th. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Ron Lowney says, no. The ACC is about to dissolve. They have the 8 votes to dissolve now. Huffer Billy Paw, when you believe you have nothing to lose, you have freedom. That's out of a Chris Christopherson song. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but that's when you have nothing left to lose, that's called freedom or something like that. I can't remember what song, but okay, let's get to your phone calls. What do you think, Michael Crow? What do you think he meant by that? Mountain West, Pac-12, those 4 schools, what's going to happen there? Whatever you want to talk about college football, the odds. We're going to be talking about the coaches poll, top 25 in a second here. In a second. Phone lines are now open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Ron Lowney, watch for the next Florida State board meeting.
Call from
Tristan Fives.
Christian, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, listen, as far as ASU, as far as that guy goes, I just think it's sour grapes. I don't know what he's trying to communicate there.
Yeah.
They're all I think Utah and Arizona State and probably some folks in Arizona are upset that they've been, relegated to the Big 12 when they had a premier conference like the PAC. So I just don't take anything they have to say seriously at this point. Sour grapes is how I view it.
Got it.
And I wanted to ask you a question. So there's a lot of rumors about FSU potentially going to the Big Ten. And this is a hypothetical question. So if you had to choose, if you had to choose between 2 scenarios, would you choose a scenario where the Big Ten gets FSU, but then Notre Dame goes to the SEC? Or would you prefer a scenario where Notre Dame goes to the Big Ten and then the SEC gets FSU?
As a Big Ten, as a fan of the Gophers, or
just as a fan of the Big Ten in general.
Well, I'm not really fan of. I'm really a fan of the Gophers.
Okay.
I'm not a. I don't wave the conference flag, so to speak.
Right.
I would rather have Notre Dame, just because. But that's not a shot against Florida State. It's just
no. I think everyone agrees that Notre Dame is still the top brand that's potentially out there. I just was curious about that. I didn't know if.
Well, I have family. Half of my family's Irish. My mom's Irish. We're Catholic, Midwest. I got family that lives in Chicago. Got season ticket holders in my family, Notre Dame. They go everywhere. So there's a lot of Notre Dame that runs through my family. And then you have, I just think Notre Dame would definitely elevate the, Notre Dame. For lack of, I don't want to go into it, but yes, Notre Dame over Florida State. But
yeah, I understand. And listen, as just a football fan in general, the idea of Notre Dame, I know they cherish their independence. I understand that. But if they do end up in the Big Ten, the idea of them getting to play USC and Michigan and Penn State and Ohio State on a regular basis, I think that would be fantastic.
yeah,
just as a general football fan, those are games that we like to tune into. And I'm down here in the South, but we keep our eye on those teams.
yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to get your opinion about all of that, and I do think that Florida State's going to do something here this week, but I don't know if it's going to be something along the lines. I don't know if they're going to declare an exit or if they're going to start trying to lay the groundwork for an exit. But I feel like, the stage is set for them to actually do something this week because all eyes are on them.
Yeah, yeah.
And, the whole Pac story is just about finished. And so now everyone's talking about Florida State. We're going to see what they're up to.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks. I'll catch you later, Greg.
Great call. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Call from
Immaculate.
Immaculate is on the line. The floor is yours, Mr. Hawkeye.
Could be the day, Greg.
Huh?
Could be the day. This
Today?
Could be the day.
What are you talking about? It could be today.
I'm just saying it could be a real good day.
What, are you hearing something or what's going on?
I don't want to speak too far out in advance, but I might have cleared my schedule.
Really? What are you talking about? Let us in on this. By the way, Cameron B., thank you for your super chat. Heard rumors of 10 Big Ten conference games trying to box out Notre Dame from schedules with Big Ten teams to try to pull them in along with Stanford. It could be. I'm getting to that point where I'm not getting to that point. I'm at the point where Notre Dame is not going to be 19 or 20. It's going to be what sets off the Big Ten to go to 24 at some point. Or 25, because Immaculate is on the phone and he is Mr. 25. Tell us, Immaculate. Tell us.
Yes.
Why do you believe today could be the day?
Well, to clarify, I am a 24 or 25 person. I just think 25 is better if we move to a conference playoff type of situation. If we don't, then it's probably 24. That's on that. As far as today, I say, why wait another day to do what can be done today? And if their mind is made up, if they've got the money lined up, if they're going in a certain direction, there is no point in waiting and holding off another day or another 2 days. There's just none. As far as whisperings going on, is that it's sooner rather than later. So if it is sooner rather than later, I'm saying why not today? Because you want every single day possible to actually use once you make that statement. Because if you do want to get into the Big Ten or the SEC next season, you need to do it by August 15th. And if this means completely breaking away and buying your way out of that conference, then you need a solution next year. Because they're not going to keep you around. Like, oh, yeah, go ahead, stick around for you. You just bought your way out. You're buying your way out. You're out. And you need a solution for the next year. So
What
if
about-
they're going to do that, they need to do it by the 15th.
What about the potential here of Florida State wanting to get out, but they don't join the SEC or the Big Ten? They just go independent.
Well, that would probably have to be the case until they have all their business squared away, so that Big Ten or SEC could pick them up. But now this is where it might legally get a little bit tricky. Is you have another regular caller that could probably explain this a little better in Moen, but could the SEC maybe have a leg up on getting through the red tape with, say, ESPN or bringing them in?
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't know, but if I had to guess, I'd say yes. That's why I always said the SEC would eat first if there was an early blow-up, because they must be playing. They must have some invisible hand involved in this. At this point, I am not so sure. I do think, though.
Either.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think FSU probably, to some degree, actually prefers the Big Ten. There is bad blood history there.
Yeah.
When we saw the trustee meeting, we saw a lot of talk about research money and all these things going on there earlier in the meeting, kind of setting the tone. And so I definitely think they're looking at the Big Ten. They made a big statement of saying we are 5 years out from getting AAU status.
Yeah. I had somebody tell. Yeah.
What's that?
I had somebody tell me that that I take very seriously, and they said that if Florida State goes to the if this is about going to the Big Ten, if that decision's been made, they're so fed up with ESPN because they didn't help them out and whatever, all this distrust between the university and the network, and they go to the Big Ten, that this whole Florida State and Clemson thing probably has some legs. It would be Florida State Clemson or Florida State Miami. It wouldn't be Florida State North Carolina. In other words, and I'm starting to be, I'm going down a rabbit hole, okay?
It's okay, I'm already there.
I'm being kind of, I'm overreacting, right? I'm guilty of everything that chat room is about to tell me that I'm guilty of. But I'm being suspicious, very suspicious about Bubba Cunningham's statement in public in regards to, Florida State, they shouldn't be barking and everything. I think there is a possibility, Immaculate, more than ever, that Florida State is going to get out, or they're going to do everything they're going to get out, and it's going to cost them dearly, but they're going to do it. Money's going to pay the way. They're going to bet on themselves. And it looks like, I think the chances now have gone more than 50%. They go to the Big Ten. And that ESPN may be thinking this as well. I'm going down a rabbit hole, okay? And that they're going to, and ESPN now is going to do everything they can to grab North Carolina, Virginia, and make sure those two universities are with the SEC. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can't lose Florida State and then lose North Carolina. And I think Bobby Cunningham, I think North Carolina is picking up with what ESPN is laying down. That's the rabbit hole I'm going down right now.
Well, me personally, I won't believe that the SEC is going to lay down and die on this one until I see the announcement that that FSU is going to the Big Ten. I just won't ever believe it, because Tallahassee, being a Big Ten location where all those schools can come down there, you're talking about later season recruiting trips where recruits come to games to watch. To put that flag there, if you're the SEC, you do whatever you can to stop that.
Yeah.
I mean, all the way up to the line of maybe even going over the line and breaking rules and whatnot. I mean, I've seen some legal arguments about, how this has to go, and that maybe the Big Ten will have to be allowed to eat a little bit so that they don't raise issue with the federal government, which then kind of brings in prosecutors and stuff. But at the same time, if I'm the SEC, I say, fine, you take Miami. Fine, you take them with someone else. But FSU is a line you do not allow crossed, in my opinion. I could be wrong.
But
And
what
that's
if
why
they
I think
can't? But what if they can't? I mean, what if they can't stop it? Because Florida State, the purse strings that they're going to accumulate is going to match their will, right? And they're just going to give the ACC a deal that they can't refuse. And if they do refuse it, then that gives Florida State an angle into the court saying, look at this. We're willing to pay more than the value of whatever they could charge us for the grant of rights and damages. I think that's where we're heading. And if you lose Florida State, now you can't lose North Carolina. And I think the Big Ten at that point, I'm again, guys, I'm just speculating here. I'm going down a rabbit hole with Immaculate. We're going to end up lost in this rabbit hole. But if at that point, if the Big Ten's think, okay, Florida State, they're doing this, they're angry, they're going to come to us eventually. Now the Big Ten's like, okay, now who's the best matchup with Florida State, right? Who's the best matchup with Florida State? A combo matchup with Florida State to go to the Big Ten, Immaculate.
No, it's Miami.
Yeah, so
Or
Miami or Clemson, right?
Well, I mean, for the Big Ten, I'd say Miami.
Yeah,
but yeah,
no question.
Right there.
But let's say Clemson's more willing to do it than Miami. You know what I'm saying?
They might be more monetarily available, shall we say?
Yeah.
More capable of.
Yeah. That's why now I'm starting to think that rumor. Why I said I didn't believe it was going to be accurate because I didn't think it would be done the week. It said it was going to be done in a week. Maybe there's more to that rumor. Maybe there is something there. And then with Bubba Cunningham saying what he said, if I had to guess the split out of this, and I'm just going to go through this, Immaculate. This is just me speculating, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, no intel whatsoever. No intel whatsoever. Big Ten, FSU and Clemson, or Miami. But FSU and Clemson. Okay? SEC, Clemson or Miami, but we'll go with Miami right now. Miami, UNC, Virginia, and Virginia Tech. And then the Big 12 would be Pittsburgh, Louisville, North Carolina State with 5 spots open. Because I think Big 12 is going to be going to 24 eventually. They're going to be the depository of the ESPN and Fox, the schools that they want to keep on, but yet they don't want to pay them top dollar. But that's how I see it playing out right now, August 7th.
I think that's a pretty good lineup. The one situation that I'd draw attention to is the whole relationship between UNC and NC State.
Yeah.
They might have some issues there internally as far as NC State being perceived to be in the lesser league then, even though, so how that goes. And UNC has to play this real high and tight because the ACC is considered the All-Carolina Conference, so they can't be putting out negative statements. In ESPN, there was an article yesterday that came out where we had comments from both the UNC AD and the Miami AD. And I got to tell you, those comments looked exactly like what we saw coming out of the pack.
Yeah.
Exactly. Total doublespeak. Could be wrong, but it was just, I was just laughing like, yeah, you're playing the good guys while Florida State breaks the way out.
Yeah.
Of course, me in private, you're like applauding them, but in public, you're like, we're not part of this. We don't favor this. But it was just interesting that they had their statements out there when even the UNC AD admitted that they've all had talks behind the scenes that the Magnificent Seven talk was real, that he just didn't like the name Magnificent Seven, which was one of the funniest comments that I've seen in a long time. Oh yeah, that's all it goes. I just hate that name.
Richard Salino in the chat. Great question. I've asked the question. That's not why it's great, but why make it publicly if you're leaving? Do it quietly. In other words, if you're actually going to do this, Florida State, if you're actually going to do this, this is not how you do it. You don't do it quietly. I mean, you do it quietly. You don't raise all this fuss in public. I've asked that question. And the answer that came back to me was because of the personalities in the room. It just so happens that Florida State has certain leadership that can't help but make it public. That maybe this is not the wise way to do it, but this is how they're doing it because they can't help themselves, because it's the personalities in the room. And then the person told me that the personalities in the room at Florida State and Clemson are completely two different animals. You wouldn't think it, but they're completely, Clemson is buttoned up. They do their meetings in a proper manner. They go by all the rules within their board meetings, and they do things. It's not, Florida State is completely different. That's what I was told. So that's why Florida State's doing it out in public. But Richard, thanks for the question. Any comments on that, Immaculate?
They make a good vanguard. The advanced force that say you're going to war, and you see what's out ahead. If you want to see the lay of the land, you send out your vanguard. You send them out. You feel it out. You got to have someone who's a little ballsy, who's got, I don't care what happens to me. Like, yeah, we might get it, but we have the gall to go and do this, and that's FSU. That's clear. I mean, I get why people are saying there's no way this works, because it's so precedent making that it just kind of blows your mind.
Yeah.
But at the same, I'm not going to sit here after seeing what I saw with my own eyes out of that board meeting and say these people are bluffing, because if they are, this is the biggest and possibly the worst boy who cried wolf story we ever see. Because if this doesn't happen, no one's ever going to listen to any of this ever again coming from FSU.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, you're done. This is your big play at the table. This is your all-in play. You either get all the chips or you are left empty-handed.
Yeah. I don't think it's a bluff. So
no, so do I.
Yeah.
And I just had one more thing I wanted to throw out before I get on for a little while. I'm sure you got other people to call.
Yep.
I just want to put a spotlight on what comes out of the American Athletic Conference in the coming days.
Okay.
People aren't really looking at that in the Western solution. Most people are talking PAC and Mountain West and some type of a merger going on with that. And we're talking about, well, the Mountain West has a deal, the PAC does not. The PAC's not going to get one because they want it to disappear. No one's going to give them a deal. The only possible deal they could have got was Apple. No one's giving them a deal. Mountain West has a deal. American Athletic has a better deal. American Athletic has a aspect of their deal that will kick in talks to redo the deal if the value is perceived to go up via additions.
Mm-hmm.
You take OSU, WSU, and you take some of the good brands with the Mountain West with them, and you go there and you make a Western division of the American Athletic. I think the American Athletic gets a brand new deal, a better deal, and probably better deal than the PAC could get with this lineup just being out west, because we know having those Eastern markets matters. So watch the A. That's my ending on that.
Got it. All right. Thank you, sir. Great phone call, Immaculate.
Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Immaculate thinks maybe something today. Why wait, he says. Why wait, Florida State? If you can do all this blustering, do it now. Don't wait till Tuesday. Don't wait till Wednesday. Don't wait till Thursday. We were told that this might happen exactly on August 15th.
Call from
Ryan Thomas.
Ryan Thomas, thanks for calling. The floor is yours.
I'm just waiting to be cut off by breaking news or something.
Well, I'll look for it while you talk. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thanks to Brian. Great phone call by Immaculate as usual. He points out a lot of great things. As far as the PAC goes, I'm kind of skeptical as to it merging or as to it adding teams or merging. A couple of reasons is I think that the remaining P4 and the other conferences have every incentive to dissolve the PAC because they want to get that 1 year 2025 of playoff revenue. They don't want that. They don't want that going to the Mountain West or somebody else. And second of all, I think that you hear the topic of ESPN wanting to have that late night window, and I think what Immaculate brought up, talking with the AAC, ESPN could get that content pretty cheap if the AAC added Oregon State and Washington State, and maybe Cal comes in along with that as well. I mean, that's just sort of a thought there, and I mean, maybe there's a plan to add San Diego State a few years down the road later, but I certainly think that could be a possible play because I think ESPN has the full contract for the AAC, so I think that's one way they sort of get their content, and perhaps in that situation, Cal and Stanford might be able to tolerate the AAC a little bit more. That's still up for debate, but with Tulane and Rice in there, maybe they feel a little bit better about it. So I just don't see the PAC existing as an organization because just for the whole purpose, it just takes care of a lot of the neat and tidy things, such as getting rid of the that sixth auto bid and going to 5 and 7 rather than 6 and 6. You got that playoff money out there. It just takes care of a lot of things. And also keep in mind, it also frees up a lot of bowls. The SEC could get in there and get the Alamo Bowl. Big 12 could go in there and get the Holiday Bowl. I mean, there's a lot of assets out there that want to be scavenged by the other P5 conferences or P4 conferences. So I don't think the PAC is going to exist as a legal entity. Now, as far as what happens, as far as all the rules of dissolution, I know departing members or withdrawing members don't have a vote, but I don't know how that works with dissolution. If you have 11 or 12 members all on the way out, that's something I haven't been able to look at as far as the bylaws, but I just don't see it going anywhere. I mean, I think that the most likely outcome is the AAC perhaps adding some of those four, like I said, those 4 West Coast PAC remainers. I mean, you've got South Florida, which is now AAU, Tulane, which is AAU, Rice, which is AAU. So, I mean, maybe that's something that is a little bit more comfortable of a place for Stanford and Cal. But
we do have some steam on Stanford.
Okay.
I'm gonna break in like I always do on you.
You should, because I mean, Stanford is something that Mo and Vision, Immaculate, myself, and Bomber have all been trying to scratch our heads on and figure out what's going on.
Well, as I reported, can you hang on the line for a little bit?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
As I reported a few days ago, the Stanford, California Big Ten thing, that's cold. There's nothing going on there. This morning, hold on. This morning, on the Pat McAfee show, Pete Thamel says there has been some Stanford to the ACC smoke that has emerged. All 4 teams in the Pac-12 are still together, but they are exploring other options. I'm going to play this video. It's 3 minutes and 21 seconds long. You can, and let's just hear. I haven't listened to it, obviously. This is breaking, so let's just listen to it together.
Great.
What's going on with the Pac-4 now? Is Washington State, Oregon State going to the Big 12? I mean, Stanford and Cal, those are institutions like with research, so they could go to the Big 10. Or are they going to try to save the Pac-4 and bring in some Mountain West teams? Where do we go with the Final Four? Is the Pac-12 dead? What's going on there?
Great question. And I don't think there's an easy answer to that, which is why I think it's going to take a couple weeks for that to resolve itself. There's been some Stanford ACC smoke that has emerged. I mean, think about this, guys. Stanford has been like the farm system for the U.S. Olympics. I believe they've won 26 of the last 29 Directors' Cups for the best athletic departments, top to bottom, in college athletics. So I mean, Stanford is this vibrant, just teeming athletic department filled with all these world-class people, and they have great facilities, and they have like nowhere to go right now. And could they, maybe Cal, end up in some sort of hybrid ACC or some sort of ACC West Coast wing? I don't know. Like, those are the types of things, like, that's not a no-brainer for either side. So it's like, okay, let's run that ground ball out. Let's see. The key to keeping a conference together is you keep your NCAA tournament bid, and for at least the next 2 years, when the playoff goes to 12, you would, in theory, potentially keep your playoff access from there. So that there is like some motivation to stay together and to stay a little bit sensible and to stay on the West Coast. You also keep all the NCAA tournament units, which ends up being tens of millions of dollars, which are the things you get when you advance in the NCAA tournament. And that, I won't explain all the math to you on that, but they basically have a war chest coming to them from the NCAA for all the teams that have played in the NCAA tournament for the past 6 or 7 years. COVID messed up the math on that a little bit, but there are like all these tenants, like these tentpoles of these conferences to deal with. So I think go somewhere else. Like, all four are together until they're not. They're all together independently exploring other options, as somebody told me today. The together option is interesting, but it's not easy. The basic math of, okay, we'll just invite Boise, San Diego State, Fresno, etc., doesn't really work, because they would owe $34 million each in exit fees for all those schools. So they would have to subsidize that. So if you're just going to say, hey, let's add 5 schools, that's $150 million. And the Mountain West, AAC are basically making $7 or $8 million a year per school, somewhere in that neighborhood. It might be 6 for the Mountain West, 7 for the AAC. So that's the tier of money you're probably...
Okay. That's enough. I think we got the point. Hey, Ryan, I'm sorry. There was noise coming through your phone. We couldn't hear the video, so I had to hang up on you. Call back again if you want, but I could hear the noise was coming from somewhere, and I figured out it was your phone. So I had to hang up on you. ACC Stanford, interesting. Shout out to the CNS BBS boards, forums. Interesting. There's some other stuff that Pete Thamel says. I'm going to check it out here.
Call from
Monavision, the floor is yours. What's going on?
I just wanted to jump in front of Ryan. That's pretty much. I think you got it wrong on the guy from Arizona State. I think he's just an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Could be. Well, he definitely is. Well,
it's pretty hot out there.
Yeah.
Pretty hot out there in Arizona. So probably just mush mouth from the heat. Florida State's leaving the ACC. They're going to cut a check. They're out. I don't disagree with Immaculate. It could be today. Wouldn't shock me to be today.
Okay.
I don't see the SEC blocking it for legal reasons. Florida State effectively becomes a free agent to the highest bidder, and Fox Sports and Big Ten are going to be that highest bidder for them. In terms of media payout, in terms of research dollars, the SEC is just not going to be able to compete with them. So Florida State will be number 19. I think they will do a tentative deal where they are a tentative member on the Big Ten upon completion of their legal hassles with the ACC. And I believe Team 20 will be Notre Dame. And that is all the big ones for right now. I don't think you increase your value by grabbing a North Carolina after that. I think it becomes dilutive at that point. I think the maximum value you can get for all the members in your conference is adding Florida State and Notre Dame.
So Florida State at 19.
Florida State.
Florida State. is all alone down there then, right? That's why I think it's going to be Florida State and Clemson, Florida State, or Miami, Florida. And then Notre Dame will jump in after 20 at some point.
I think that you pick those guys up later on. I think you stick at 20 for this media deal. It maximizes the value. 2031, 2030, when the ACC finally breaks apart, because I don't know that any other schools are going to cut a $500 million check or go raise that private equity to get out. I especially don't think they're going to do it while Florida State's doing it, because they want to cut of that Florida State money. Because that money will have to be divided among the existing members. If I'm correct, that means, whacking up a $500 million between 14 schools. That's not loose change for anybody.
Yeah.
So I see those schools probably staying put because they don't want to mess with the lawyers. They want to get a cut of that. In fact, I think those schools will probably use a cut of that to buy their way out of the ACC eventually. But I see Florida State there, as we would say about John McCain, they're going rogue.
Mm-hmm.
They're going rogue.
Yeah,
they're going to be a free agent on the market. And, the SEC can't just allocate someone like Florida State to the SEC. That is market allocation, people. That is a antitrust lawsuit from the federal government waiting to happen. If an intermediary like ESPN, who owns the rights to ACC media, was to place ACC media rights to someone, they also own the media rights to the SEC. So those media rights have to come to open market if Florida State leaves. Now, at that point, if the SEC pays them more and they choose the SEC, so be it. But they have to come to open market. That's just the way it has to be. So I think the Big Ten offers Florida State the most media money, best chance at a playoff berth. I think they just get lost in the shuffle in the SEC. That Florida State would be their jewel in the South. I mean, and I know you're right. They'd be 800-900 miles from the closest Big Ten school, but what's so bad about that? I mean,
yeah,
that would put them out there. But I just wanted to say that I don't think Michael Crow was trying to say that Florida State's creating their own network. They're not. I think he was just mush-mouthing it.
Do you want to
go, Greg? I want to get him.
Wait, can you stay on for another couple minutes? Or
Yeah,
you got to go.
No, go ahead. I got time.
I just want to play Pete Thamel on the Pat McAfee show discussing Notre Dame. Okay, it's only a minute and 20 seconds long. All right, let's go to it.
We've learned is that the biggest brands are going to command the most money, and a vibrant, relevant Notre Dame, people are going to want. So the conventional thought is they'd stick with NBC. I believe, and I haven't looked at this lately, their deal is up 24, 25-ish. The thought is they could end up getting in the same range that 65, 70 million, whatever it is, that you would get in one of these big leagues, but they keep independence. They keep being unique. The only thing that's going to force Notre Dame from independence, and it's very basic, is like when they run out of teams to play. If everybody colluded and said, we're going to get so big and there's going to be so much consolidation that Notre Dame can't put together a schedule. So these leagues have to get bigger, and then they say, we're going to play 10 conference games. And then all of a sudden, like everyone's like, well, I can't play Notre Dame on my 2 non-conference games. I want to play, Stephen F. Austin.
Jeez, you're just burying these schools.
West Virginia.
How many schools have, whoa.
We're just throwing one out there.
West Virginia.
All right, we got the point on that. So, Pete Thamel, I think he agrees with Greg Pflugar. Notre Dame not going to act yet. Big Ten adds 2 more. SEC adds some schools. And now Notre Dame has to get into the picture. What do you think about that? Pete Thamel, Greg Pflugar. Monovision?
I didn't actually hear the audio. The audio didn't come down my phone line. What was Pete?
Pete Thamel's saying...
argument that...
Pete Thamel's basically saying that he believes Notre Dame, the only way they jump off of the independence train is because they run out of teams to play. That the Big Ten, the SEC keeps growing and they become too big. They're going to go to 10 conference games. and Notre Dame now has to go because they can't put together a decent schedule. So to me, of course, I think that possibly means that Pete Thamel thinks that Notre Dame wouldn't be 19 or 20, but they'd probably be 21. That breaks it open for the Big Ten to go to 24.
It's a possibility, Greg, but I think once Miami's out and those schools have all collected that Florida State's out and they've collected all that Florida State revenue, then you're going to see other teams start jumping out of the ACC looking for places to go. I think at that point it puts enough instability in the ACC that Notre Dame says, whoa, we need to get on board or we're going to get run over by this.
Yeah.
No disrespect to the Big 12 or the SEC, but of the three A3 conferences, which is something we've talked about on Nate's show a lot, I think the Big is the best bet for Notre Dame. Has all their rivals. And, I've thought about it. I've also foreseen a 21-team Big Ten conference, 3 17 divisions, 3 champions in the semis with 1 wild card. So it's possible it goes to 21. But I think Florida State has to make that jump first. They have to go rogue. They have to go it alone. Once Clemson and Miami get their cut of that money and see that it is possible to get out, then I think they try to get out. And once that happens, then it's just going to start the whiff of instability. I think that's enough for Notre Dame and their new AD at that time to say, whoa, we need to get to where we need to be before we can't get to where we need to be. So,
one more question for you, Monovision. Coach's preseason poll came out, and of course, we overreact to every poll here at Peek Around the Corner. We take everything seriously. Everything's dramatic here at Peek Around the Corner. Coach's preseason poll: number 1, Georgia; number 2, Michigan; number 3, Alabama; number 4, the Buckeyes; number 5, LSU; number 6, USC; Penn State 7; Florida State, Clemson, and Tennessee run out the top 10. What do you think about the Buckeyes being number 4 in the coach's preseason poll?
Well, funny you should mention that. We're actually going to do this over on Nate's show. We're all going to do our own preseason
beautiful
25. But let me give you my top 5 right now. I'll give everybody a sneak preview, and then they can watch us on Big 12 Mafia when we're ready to do that show. But I've got Georgia 1. I've got Michigan 2. I have LSU 3.
Yeah.
I think LSU wins the SEC West this year. I think they're going to impress a lot of people. I'm with you. I don't understand the Tommy Rees to Alabama thing, but
yeah,
Nick Saban, I mean, it's hard to bet against him, but I've got LSU number 3. I've got USC number 4. And I know their defense is terrible, but I still got USC making it through the pack this year, undefeated and winning the pack championship. So I've got USC 4, I've got Ohio State 5, and then I've got Penn State 6, Alabama 7, Florida State 8. But that'll all be put together on the Big 12 Mafia show, and I just want to get a plug in here real quick. This Thursday over on Nate's show, we're going to do I believe it's this Thursday, but double-check his schedule, a conference realignment roundtable with Bob Thompson from Fox Sports. So
beautiful.
That should be very interesting, and I would highly recommend that people tune into that and ask some questions, and we'll try and see what Bob can figure out of all this stuff that's going on. And maybe by then Florida State will have left. And maybe, who knows? At this point, Greg, who knows?
Yes.
I'm just watching the clock to see how long it's been since conference realignment, you know?
Yes.
It's no longer just watching the days, it's watching the actual clock.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right, Greg, have a great show.
Okay.
Brian, you can call back to now that I jumped in front of you.
No, okay. Thank you. Great call, Monovision. Mr. Buckeye. Mr. Buckeye. Phone lines now open, 763-260-1333. Talking everything and anything, college football, whatever you want to talk about. We've done the Las Vegas odds. Who's going to win the national championship? Coaches poll.
CFB Plus.
CFB Plus is on the line. The floor is yours, good sir. What do you got to say?
Hello. I have a quick question to kind of circle back to something. If you don't want to talk about it now, totally understand. But I just want to talk about the Colorado Board of Regents meetings that happened on June 6th and then the one that got canceled on June 9th.
Yeah.
If June 9th was the one that Colorado was going to leave the Pac-12 for the Big 12 for, and then someone got upset, like what happened there? I don't know if you can talk about it. If they truly were going to leave, why did it take them another month to figure that out and then actually pull the trigger? I just wanted your thoughts on that, and if you can give any details, that'd be great. Also, if you want to talk about the ACC, totally understand. So, thank you.
Got it. Thanks for the call. I can't add any. We could not confirm anything in regards to the June 9th, why it was canceled. We know that the June 6th meeting, there was discussions at the Colorado Board of Regents.
Call from
Rebecca.
Rebecca, can you hold just a second?
Yep.
We know that the June 6th meeting had to do with conference realignment. We got that confirmed. The June 9th meeting was canceled. I know there's a lot of people who believed that Colorado was about to make their move. As we said, they had all their I's dotted, all their T's crossed at that point. I know other people have reported that somebody in the Board of Regents, a voice said, an added voice, someone late to the process said, hold on, we should wait. And that person might have been a decent sized donor. We could not confirm why Colorado hit the pause button. We were anticipating that it was going to happen right there in the middle of June. And then suddenly it didn't. But we also said, but we could not confirm the reason why, but we also did quickly confirm that nothing had changed. That Colorado, center the stage, Pac-12 couldn't get in, the presidents weren't getting any numbers. ESPN and Fox were not going to play ball. They had their own motivations. We didn't hit, we were pretty clear on all that stuff. So we didn't think really anything changed materially with the potential of Colorado going to the Big 12. But there was a pause. The pause button did get punched by Colorado DiStefano. We don't know the reason why. Other people have reported. We cannot give you good information. We could not confirm what held it up. Rebecca, thanks for calling. Mrs. Husky, bow down to Washington. Bow down to Washington. That's now a Big Ten fight song. What's going on?
Well, I mean, the goal is to essentially make sure the other UW bows down to Washington. So,
Yes, I know that. Yes, yeah.
There's going to only be room for one of us.
Yes.
No, I mean, it's just been a crazy 3 days. By the way, my DMs are full of a lot of very angry Cougar fans out here.
I bet. Yeah.
It has been a wild 72 hours, and I was on vacation this weekend. I went camping, so I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
No, I just think by the way, who keeps ranking Texas A&M? Who does this?
I don't know.
They should have to play 5 games before you rank them. And South Carolina not ranked is a crime.
Yes. Yeah.
But no, I think Florida State. And I've been joking around. I'm like, I wish if they had a booster like a Phil Knight, they'd already be out of this. I don't know. Florida State, I think Moen's right. Florida State's going to become a free agent, and they're going to just command essentially that full payout. And I don't know if ESPN or Fox, say in 2 years, will want to pay the full amount for Florida State for 4 years. Especially now, like ESPN, if you're ESPN, I mean, you have they would maintain their rights, right? Like, if it's a home game for Florida State, ESPN would still show that even if they were in, like, the Big Ten, right?
Yeah, just the money would go to the ACC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, Florida State, they stand to lose a lot of money, it feels like, just to pay out of this and get out. I mean, I think they really need to talk 7 other members into, like, actually dissolving this thing, or maybe 8 other members.
Now, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Washington and Oregon.
Yeah.
If, and this had to play into their thinking, but if a Florida State, especially if a Notre Dame comes into the Big Ten, that's going to elevate Oregon and Washington's yearly payout. That also gets bumped up.
Yep.
According to the Big Ten contract. So Oregon and Washington coming in early before Notre Dame only helps Washington and Oregon's payouts for the next 6 years. 6 years to 6 years. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's all correct, because Washington and Oregon are essentially borrowing from their future revenue.
Mm-hmm.
That was part of the deal. Like, they're going to average $35 million over this next 6-7 years or whatever it is, but they're really only getting paid $30. They're just getting a little bit of a kickback on future media revenue to kind of help them out a little bit, especially because of travel costs. USC and UCLA coming in at full members, not as much of a concern when it comes to travel costs as Oregon and Washington had. But yeah, that would offset that, and they probably could essentially just not take that money anymore. They could just stop that. So I think if Florida State left and the ACC collapses, I think you're right that Notre Dame might be looking for that safety net, but Notre Dame would 100% have to find a safety net for their Olympic sports no matter what. And, it's a very, Florida State's making everything very complicated.
Yeah, they are. And everyone's watching it. Everybody's taking it serious.
Well, like that FSU, was it a trustee or a booster or whatever said a week ago, 2 weeks ago? He's like, this may take 12 months. We may need a year to actually figure this out. And I'm like, if they do it in 8 days, that would be one. I would.
Well, they've been working on it.
Lawyers.
They've been working on it. They've been working on it.
They had to been working on it, because otherwise I'm applauding your lawyers for being really on top of this. Because if it's as ironclad as they say it is, I don't think you could figure it out in 8-9 months. I just think it would take a while, and it doesn't. It sounds like they started to look at it back in December or November, but they haven't really delved into it too much until maybe in the last 90 days. So I just think they're just really muddying the water a bit, and they're really making it hard. If Florida State and Clemson go, the ACC wouldn't necessarily collapse, because no matter what, ESPN still has to pay that money. But somebody would have to fill in some gaps, because now ESPN would be like, you have to expand. You have to bring in somebody, and they'd have to bring in, and ESPN's still airing all that stuff. It just, to me, it's so complicated and so complex. I don't know if they'll be able to do it by, 8 days. Everything you read and you hear about them sounds like you were on it back in December. Sounds like they've been looking at it for 9 months, but even their folks in the know have kind of publicly stated this might take a whole year. I wouldn't think anything happens until next August.
Okay.
Kind of a gut feeling there. Could be way wrong, and I'd be willing to take that lump of heat. It just feels like there's no way it's going to get done in 8 days,
Well, I don't think anyone's saying that Florida State's going to is going to legally separate themselves from the ACC in 8 days. I think what people are anticipating is that Florida State's going to send their withdrawal notice to the ACC commissioner and all the ACC presidents by or on August 15th. That's what people are starting to expect. But it's not going to be legally solved.
No. I'm just like, them doing that, though, it just seems
crazy.
It seems very, very crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's serious.
The fact that we're just talking about another potential loss of a conference.
Yeah.
Which, as happy as I am, the Huskies are in the Big Ten. I'm ecstatic. I love it. But at the same time, I'm like, it's painful, especially when you hear like the Arizona and Arizona State presidents throwing the Washington and Oregon presidents under the bus because they didn't even bother to show up to that meeting last Friday. All that news came out like, oh, the talks of like Washington and Oregon and the Big Ten is cool and the conference is staying together. And then the Arizona State president basically, and then a little bit ago, the Arizona president confirms he didn't know Washington and Oregon never were at the meeting. They didn't show up. Like the meeting they never showed up. They were getting
the meeting was canceled.
Yeah.
It never got off the ground.
Yeah. No, they literally said they weren't going to show up.
Yeah.
They weren't going to be there because they were like, nope, we're gone. So, I'm just glad that everybody had a contingency plan, but there are 4 schools that had a plan and the door was shut on them. Yeah. So I'm like, I know people are like laughing about it and all that. And, Stanford, before anybody says anything, Stanford and Cal do care about sports. The renovations that Cal did to their stadium kind of should prove that they do. And they fired basketball coaches. They're trying to get everything righted there at Cal athletically.
They have a meeting set for tomorrow.
Yeah, it's California Board of Regents, and that's the same Board of Regents that controls, UCLA, and everybody. There's been a few jokes on Twitter like, oh, it took them a while, and it's like, you know how long it took the Board of Regents to just settle UCLA going to the Big Ten?
Yeah,
that took months. So they're not on a time scale. I think for them, they're kind of more condensed now, obviously. But I mean, Stanford would have to give back millions in donations. Every scholarship at Stanford is named after the person that pays for the scholarship. They do care about sports, and Stanford's very trust. When you meet a Stanford grad, they tell you we have the most national titles of all of college athletics. They like to brag about it. They do care. They may not care like everybody else, but they do care. And both schools have remodeled their stadiums in the last 10, 15 years. This is so brutal and it's so painful. Oregon State just remodeled their stadium. I feel really bad. I just had to say it. We're at a precipice of another power conference doing that, and not every school in the ACC is going to get into one of the other 3. They're going to be shut out too. And let's say these 4 schools do go with the ACC, they're back in the same boat in 5-6 years.
Yeah.
I'm
not a big believer the ACC is going to expand, because I don't think they can expand, because I think the big dogs in the conference don't want anything to do with expansion right now.
Yeah. No, and I know ESPN's going to try to make Florida State happy. This is the big thing. We know they have to make Florida State happy.
Yeah.
ESPN has to do that, right?
But there's no expansion that's going to make Florida State happy.
No, barring Notre Dame saying we want him full as a football member.
Yeah.
No, there's no way. But I mean, if it gets Florida State another $10-15 million, it may throw a little bit of a lifeline to that to keep it maybe for another year or 2.
Yep.
And then of course, as we see the contracts get more and more inflated, then you'll hear Florida State complain more and more. But I just had to say all that. I'm very excited. Greg, you were dead on. I got blocked by your 2 favorite people for simply calling them out on their bias. And then you were 100% correct as well as everybody else. They were looking west. They're looking east, but they never gave up out west.
They had to go west. The Big Ten had to go west. They wanted to grab Washington, Oregon. So now they can go east. And everybody is there's a consensus. Everybody wants to go east, and I'll just throw out a little bit of nugget right now on this live show. Ohio State's going to be leading the charge. They're going to determine what happens here when we go east, and everybody else is going to follow. Ohio State acquiesced it. Ohio State was all for getting Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles, into the Big Ten. Ohio State always knew that the Big Ten had to go west again. There weren't going to be only two states west of Lincoln in a 20-team conference. So Ohio State said, okay, Oregon and Washington, fine, discount. We don't have the money right now, okay. But now the next action is to the east, and Ohio State's going to lead the way, and everybody else is going to say, yes, let's do it. Whatever you guys decide on, the commissioner's office, with Fox Sports, with the Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, we're all going to say yes. Oregon's going to say yes. Washington's going to say yes. Little Minnesota's going to say yes. Big Ten's going to go east. Now everybody can set their eyes on eastward expansion.
Yep. I also think Fox, NBC, and CBS were strategic in adding those two schools because now they own the most eyeballs out west.
Yeah. Now, that's all sealed up, locked, and delivered. Yep.
Yeah. I'm like, people are like, Cal and Stanford are in the Bay Area. Their grads don't live there.
Yeah.
But grads from UCLA, Washington, USC, and Oregon all do.
All right, Rebecca, we're going to get going here.
Yeah,
I appreciate the phone call.
Appreciate you, and say hi to the little general, and I'll be listening.
Beautiful. Bow down. Bow down to Washington. All right, thank you so much for the phone call. If you're new to the channel, we're going to lock it up right now. I got something I got to head out to, but keep your head on a swivel. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel. We can pop up at any time. There's a lot of things percolating. We went through the Caesars Sportsbooks odds and who's going to win the national championship, the updated odds. We hit lightly upon the new coaches poll. We're going to be talking football every single day this week. So stick with us. And of course, realignment is still going on. The ripple effects of what happened last week, August 4th, is going to happen throughout this week. And all eyes on the Florida State Seminoles. We go where the story goes here at Peek Around the Corner. We skate where the puck is going to be, not where it is right now. That's what we did with the Colorado story, the USC story in the spring, and all stories that we have here at Peek Around the Corner. So stick with us, stay with us. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and smash that like button on the way out. We thank you for the donations, for the wonderful comments, the incredible phone calls. You were not afraid to be a legend. You are not afraid to be a PATC legend in the comments and phone calls. We could pop up at any time. So keep your head on a swivel. Until next time. From all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.